My name is Thomas and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Today, this is episode number 1 of a new series that I'm starting that I'm very excited about called Behind the Ride. And the reason it's called that is because we're gonna find out more about the amazing minds and brilliant people that are responsible for cars as cool as this Mustang. This is owned by my close personal friend, John, and he's offered to help me out with this first episode today, so I'll leave the rest up to him. Oh man, look at that, hey? All right,
so it's pretty.
So what are we looking at here?
You guys are looking at a 2014 3.7 liter V6 Mustang.
So gotta ask, this is gonna be the first time I ask this, and it's gonna be in every video. It's gonna be a staple, I'd like to think. What's on your keychain?
What's on my keychain? Well, I shouldn't have put it away. My car keys, my remote start, because living in Canada, you gotta kind of face the elements a little bit. I don't want to walk out and start my car in the morning. And yes, I winter drive this Mustang. That is not something most people do. I got my gun key because, yep. And I've got a Landau Ford Lincoln little keychain here, which is pretty neat. My grandfather owned a Ford dealership when I was younger, and this is actually a memento to that. So I keep it with me as kind of good luck and an homage to where all this Ford stuff started.
Awesome. So that brings me on to how you came about this Mustang. How did this end up in your hands?
How did this end up in my hands? Well, actually, a lot of it was a gift. My family and I have always had like Fords in our family, and I always wanted a Mustang. Ever since I was a little kid, I'd go and pressure wash cars at my grandfather's dealership, and I'd always see the Mustangs in the showroom, and I'm like, oh man, I want one of those when I grow up. Yeah. So I decided, yeah, I'm gonna make sure I have one of those when I grow up. So I saved and saved and saved as a kid, and started saving this money and put it into a fund. And my parents were so proud of like the savings and that kind of stuff. They ended up gifting me the rest of the value of the car based on what I saved for like my 17th birthday. So I came out, I thought I was getting new speakers for my truck. So like, close your eyes, don't look. And I opened the door and they're like, okay, look. And there she was sitting out on the front driveway, the big red bow on the top. I literally fell to my knees and started crying.
Wow.
I've never been so surprised in my life. And I still cherish this car till this day.
Of course, yeah. So you mentioned the truck. So this obviously wasn't your first vehicle.
No.
At the age of 17. What was that truck?
My first vehicle at the ripe age of, I think 16, it came to me, the 1994 like forest green Ford Explorer, Mike Mallard edition, because my family's funny and we like ducks. So my uncle made a custom edition for my mom, and this car was actually their wedding, or this truck was their wedding present for my mom. So it's been passed down through generations and generations, and it finally landed on me.
Okay, wicked. So then, why a Ford Mustang? You already explained with your grandfather and his dealership, but is there more reasoning behind why this specific vehicle?
Yeah. When you see a Mustang, you think good guy, right? In all the movies and in all the shows, like the main character, the good guys, like he drives the Mustang, and like you want to be the good guy, right? And I love the American muscle style look of Mustangs. If I didn't have a Mustang, I'd have probably a Challenger or something similar, but it's just that bleed Ford blue coming out in my blood. That's just like, it's got to be Ford. It's got to be a Mustang.
Ford guy through and through. Fair enough. So then, are you disappointed that you got this as a 2014 versus the 2015 when they updated it to the new look?
No. I think this is the best looking body style, minus a few like older ones. But yeah, I'm so glad I went with the 2014 here, and it's also nice because it's the year I graduated. It's got that really down tanky look to it. Like it's a don't f with this car kind of look, and I love that.
Of course. So then, if you didn't have a 2014, obviously the new gen, you were saying, nah, I'd rather have this. Is there an older Mustang? I know you mentioned it a little bit. I saw you smirk.
Yeah.
Is there an older Mustang that you'd have over this?
Yes, the 1967 Fastback, same color, same everything. The Shelby Eleanor is kind of like the inspiration for this car, but having the legit original Eleanor would be chef's kiss. Like, awesome. Is beautiful.
Couldn't agree with you more. That's a gorgeous Mustang. But bringing it back to yours, I know we go over everything you've done to this in a separate tour video, but if you had to pick one favorite modification that you've done, which one would you choose?
Favorite mod? Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys could see in the intro of the video there, but the air suspension. Like, what kind of Mustang guy's got bags? Yeah. Like, I don't know of any other guys with bags on their Mustangs. That's got to be one of my favorite things. It changed the profile of this car so much. Totally. Like it went from the big North American drag car style to the low, sleek, like this is not what it seems kind of car.
It's definitely unique, hey? Is there a modification you've done that not necessarily you regret, but for the people watching this, that they can learn from it? Is there anything you've done that if you were to do it again, you'd do it differently?
Oh yeah.
Or wouldn't do it all?
Yeah. Kids at home, don't lower your car unless you are very sure of what you're doing. I started off with lowering springs, and they were garbage. They destroyed my car. There's so many other things you need to do to get a car nice and low. You need like different suspension, different bump stops, like a new upper control arm that's adjustable. Everything now has to be adjustable because you're changing what's stock, right? So I didn't do all of that right on the side. I was just like, yeah, throw lowering springs on it, it's good to go. Clearance issues with the tires, tore out all the inner lining of the wheel well, and then scraping on everything. Speed bumps were my new nemesis, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. I can just air up and air down when I come to speed bumps, so that's nice. But yeah, don't do lowering springs. Save the money if you want bags, if you want to go low, or do it smart. Like do your research, get all the things that you need before you actually start throwing parts on it.
So then if you were to be gifted $100,000, I got two questions here. Would you work on this? And if so, what would you do? Or would you take that money and buy a different vehicle that is worth $100,000? Or do you think you can make this better than anything, your dream vehicle, with that money?
I mean, this car has a lot of sentimental value to me, given its history and given what it represents to me. It's a lot of achievement and personal gain for me. But I gotta say, I really love the 2014 Shelby GT500s. Or maybe the 2017 GT350Rs, because they sound like a literal rolling thunderstorm. They're fast as all hell. So maybe I'd do an upgrade to those and take some of the extra money off the top to throw on extra mods. Like I'd bag the hell out of a Shelby.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. Cool. So then what are your future plans for this vehicle?
Future plans.
Future modifications.
Future mod plans, okay.
What's the next step?
The next big step. Well, I've done a lot of aesthetic. I've done a lot of like suspension and safety stuff for this car, but it's lacking power. Like I needed a little bit more giddy up, a little bit more get up and go, you know what I mean? So twin turbos are the next big thing for this car. I'm a twin myself, so I think it's a nice reflection of who I am, as well as it's going to be pushing like 550 to the wheel, which is nuts for a 3.7 liter V6. Yeah. Maybe we're going for it. We're going to shoot for the moon. Might be the fastest V6 Mustang in the world when we're done.
Gotta have a dream, right? Gotta have an end
shoot
goal
for the
these
moon,
vehicles.
right?
And then I know earlier on off camera you were mentioning the license plate too. You have something that's on its way?
Yes, I do have a vanity plate on the way. I don't really know if that's like a mod, but it's a nice little homage and aesthetic thing.
What were some of the ideas you had for vanity plates?
I had so many, and actually a surprising amount of them were still available. I actually chose to go with Burn Tire because you know Hoonigan's got a Hoon, and like one of my inspirations is Ken Block.
Well, that's perfect because my next question was going to be, how'd you get into the car world? What got you to fall in love with this, not just community, but working on your car? Because I know you've done a lot of the work yourself. This whole world of automobiles.
Okay, well, like my dad is a race car driver. We've got like racing in our blood. I learned to work on vehicles from a very, very young age with him, and it's always been a staple in my house to be like, if you can't fix it yourself, you're doing something wrong. So we learned how to work on them ourselves when we were growing up, and then as I started to get into the car scene for myself rather than just my dad's racing scene, I started loving just going for cruises with people. Like you drive down the street, you see another guy with a nice car, you'd wave and rev a little bit, and you're like, okay, this is kind of cool. So you pick up and you go with him, and then you end up meeting a lot of really cool people that way. And as that went on, I joined a few different car clubs and managed one of my own for a bit out in Kelowna. I think the community aspect is definitely the big draw for me when it comes to like cars and meets and stuff like that. Like the people getting together all to share that passion.
So whether it's a meet or a certain drive, is there something that you value above all else, maybe even more than the car itself, like an experience that you've had with it? So let's say in magical world where this car was taken away from you tomorrow, what would you cherish? What would be a memory that you'd remember forever with this vehicle?
Well, definitely the first time I got it would be a crazy memory that I always cherish because it brings me very, very close to my family. But one that's personal and very personal to me is I went for this cruise back when I ran a club in Kelowna. We drove from Kelowna down to Penticton, and it was like perfect golden hour. The sun was shining, all the windows were down. We had like the car photographers and the car videographers out, and we're all filming and cruising down that beautiful hill from Kelowna down to Penticton, and it was one of those drives that you see in a movie, right? It's the you drive off into the sunset kind of thing. It was perfect. It was just like that.
Yeah, of course. So is there anything else you want to share about this gorgeous Mustang you have, whether it be nicknames you've given it over the years or anything along those lines?
She has gone through a lot of nicknames over the years. It started out pretty like cringy and cheesy. Like we called it Quicksilver because it's silver and fast. We called it Onyx for a bit because I like black, and I think that's an edgy enough name for the car. But it's evolved a lot. Like it went from Samantha to Sam to Eleanor for a little bit, because you got to pay homage to where the inspiration for this car came from. This whole car is kind of like a blend of like a GT500, a Boss 302, and the Eleanor, all in like a modern, sleek package, right? So that's kind of like, I love them all equally, and I wanted a blend where I could see little aspects of each of them all together in the same car.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 15 seconds to finalize this whole video here.
Okay.
Plug whatever you want, go.
The pressure, holy shit. Okay, my Instagram is @thefauxboss. That kind of explains the Boss 302. Definitely go follow Thomas, Tinkering Thomas.
Are you saying to subscribe to
Yeah,
the YouTube
like,
channel?
comment, subscribe. If you want to hear more from me, you can message me on Instagram or comment on Thomas's page, and maybe I'll come back for a number 2 or whatever else, another interview.
Yeah, awesome, man.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll leave you with the quarantine elbow touch. Don't touch me, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
No worries.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy what I do here, feel free to subscribe and drop a like if you want to see more content like this. Of course, a massive thanks to John. And if you want to see more episodes like this, let me know what cars you'd like me to get my hands on down in the comments below. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye, Sarah.
I know they do some pretty fancy ones.
Yeah. Gotta get home for dinner, kids.
Mom says it's getting cold.
Dad said to have the car back by 9.